Hello, beautiful soul family. Rebecca here, your vibe mentor. I'm coming to you today on 9/11, September 11th, 2025. It will be past that date when you see this, but there is not enough time and space to put between us and an event like we experienced on that date. And this also now, unfortunately, applies to recent events, that there is no shortage of suffering and pain in the world. And as someone who is extraordinarily sensitive, I tend to try to look away from these things and focus on building a bridge that will take us into a place of reduced pain and suffering, possibly even heaven on earth. But in moments like this, it's really important to speak to what it is that we are experiencing. And I really have to address the question that I have written down and have to reference, which you will have already seen on the thumbnail and title. But we have to really look at, why do we suffer? What is the real reason that humanity can't find peace? Why does violence continue to happen? There is a solution, there is an answer. And if we allow our minds to get stuck in the hamster wheel of thought, mulling over all of the different reasons or the different examples or the different facets of how this shows up in the world today, we can get really confused and stuck in the mud trying to find the solution. But the truth is that war and violence and pain and suffering are brought about through our human collective consciousness, through our human choices. And that corruption or these random attacks or the world's wars that we are unfortunately witnessing are not because there is a lack of consciousness in our creator. It is not part of God's plan. It is not true that our creator is unaware of these things. Now, if we look at, you can look at the previous video that I did around who is God or what is God really, and what's the proper posture to have to perceive our creator, because sometimes it can feel so confusing. We can ask that question: how does God let this happen? Why does God let the children suffer? Why are people starving? Why are attacks happening? And the truth is that it's because of man. It's because of humanity, that we are afforded free will. And unfortunately, we at times use that in unresourceful ways. And if you follow me, you know I speak a lot about trauma. If you're involved in the spiritual world, you're aware of Matthias de Stefano, and he said something the other day that really struck a chord for me. He said that I could bring together thousands of people, even millions, and I'm paraphrasing. So if you find the quote, don't come shoot the messenger. This is to the best of my ability of recalling what he said, but he said it doesn't matter how many people I bring together to meditate on world peace, because they start to bicker and fight about how we do it. And he went so far as to say it's not a governmental issue, it's a people issue. And it's not that people are bad, but our problem is unhealed trauma. And he also made that connection that it is our trauma in the people that is causing this problem. And so you can look at all crime, you can look at all heinous acts, you can look at all unresourceful behaviors and coping mechanisms and choices of humanity as stemming from unresolved trauma, unmet needs, and as unmet needs, just to clarify, and a separation from our creator. So those are the three factors that we're dealing with: unresolved trauma, unmet needs, and separation from our creator. And so we know from a psychological perspective that I do have a background in neuroscience and trauma. So if you don't know me now, you know there is science behind this. So then we know that everything a person does, they do because they, at some level, believe it's required for their survival. It's justified. And that can be really hard to understand when we see people attacked or shot in cold blood. The truth is, this is our collective breaking point that we are coming to, that we have created subconsciously or unconsciously more of the same, more of our trauma from that place of believing I need to do this thing to get my needs met or to survive. and it becomes our collective driving force for what we create. And so the solution is certainly whatever crumbles around us must crumble. The point that we are coming to, this collective breaking point, the collective I'm done moment, is required. Unfortunately, we don't have to come to this space, but it is going to happen if we refuse to do what is being asked of us. And many times looking at the shadows and healing our trauma is the last thing that we want to do. As a trauma healer and facilitator, that is not a hat I wanted to wear. I'm a very, especially in my innate state in my young childhood years, I was a very optimistic, bubbly, happy child. Pollyanna-ish, if you will. And that part of me still exists, but of course, the shadow had to be integrated as well. And so we can get these niggles or these nudges to do a thing that isn't really comfortable, and so we avoid it. And there's collective avoidance, on some level with intention, on some level just through distraction and busyness, and believing that what they say we should do is the path to happiness. And unfortunately, when we are not listening, we're not in tune with our inner being, we're not connected with our creator inside of our physical vessel, we can so easily ignore the thing that we don't want to face. And so we have to remember that if we choose not to look at those things, if we choose not to follow our guidance, we are going to come to breaking points, not just personally, but collectively. And then that's when it comes to, we are standing on the edge of the cliff. And it really is a question of, are you going to do the thing so that you can take a step back from the cliff? Or are you going to force God and the universe and life to push you off the cliff? And that's where we're at collectively in humanity, that we are getting pushes and shoves and niggles and nudges that say, face the issue or else. And it's not a threat by the creator, it's laws of the universe. If you continue to do an action that continues to move you towards a natural cause, that must happen. Now, some people want to argue whether or not gravity is real, which is not an argument I even pretend to understand. So bear with me when I use the example of gravity. These are laws of the universe. Our creator created certain things to be in play regardless. And the creator himself is bound to these laws, unless, of course, it comes to an exceptional place. That is not my place to talk about here today. Point being, if we continue to create more of the same, expecting a different result, that is the definition of insanity. And we cannot question why the natural consequences of our choices are coming about. That when we live out of alignment with our creator, out of alignment with nature, out of alignment with the way we were designed to live, there will be uncomfortable situations that force us back into alignment. Now, I've heard this phrase, and I don't know if I'm going to recall it exactly correctly, but it says we can do this the easy way or we can do this the hard way. And we so far collectively as humanity are doing it the hard way. But I believe in the goodness of the future. I believe in the goodness of humanity. And I know that our creator has a plan for everything that happens. What we are experiencing is not God's plan. It is not God's will, but there is a plan to pull us out of it. At any given moment, when a majority of us, and it doesn't even have to be actually a majority, it's just a significant number of us, wake up to our power and authority, wake up to what is causing this, and we say no more. That is the collective breaking point that actually is the best place for us to be, because we get what we tolerate. And so if you get to that point where you say enough is enough is enough, I'm done, it's over, I will not take any more, things change. It's really interesting because I don't swear, but there's a couple words that want to come through, which I am not going to do for the sake of the YouTube algorithm. But imagine expletives in my expression here. Enough is enough, right? Screw this. I'm done. I'm done. We collectively need to be done. And I'm getting reminded of the reference to the 144,000 in the Bible, that there only needs to be a certain number of us to awaken to Christ consciousness, to stepping into our divine authority, to healing our trauma and being reunited with the creator in our body, to affect change. That we are not victims of our circumstance. We are not victims of anything ever, unless we've given our power away to it by believing it has power over us. I'm not changing the lighting in here, so that's fun. The sun didn't necessarily come out. Interesting. No one is coming to save us. And that's a really hard thing to say, because I'm here for you right now in this moment. I don't want you to feel alone. And that should not feel like a burden. Because if you feel alone, and if you feel like it's all up to you and you have to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders, you have unresolved trauma. You are not in alignment with the truth. You are not in intimacy with the Creator. You are not in your full power and authority, which is what we need to take our power back to end this crap. So interesting. So many words want to come through today. So hit the I'm done moment. Know that that friction is necessary. Yes, we are in between eclipses, and that's an important part of our evolution, right? Switching us from one track to the other, getting us back on track, getting us to the place where we need to be so we can take a step back from the cliff instead of being pushed off of it, right? When we recognize no one is coming to save us, it doesn't have to feel like a burden. It doesn't feel like a burden at all when you have healed your trauma. And trust me, if you know anything about my story, 8 out of 10 A score, adverse childhood experiences, not a thing to brag about. No shortage of trauma here. So I was on the streets, homeless at 16, living off of white bread and Kool-Aid with no sugar. You have no excuse. I didn't have anyone. I had zero resources. I was perceived as a weak, dumb, blonde little girl who could be taken advantage of. If I can do it, you can do it too. And it doesn't have to be, right? Our old trauma state wants to put on the armor of the warrior that, we often have to lean to or turn to when we are alone. It doesn't even have to be from that state, right? If you work on healing your trauma, sweep in front of your own door, you heal, you release the need for that warrior, for that army, or for that, what am I thinking? Armor, right? And you step into co-creative divine authority, which is easy and effortless. What you resist persists. So going to battle, going to war is not going to help in the old traditional sense. Through hard power, it doesn't work. Soft power, on the other hand, does work. And I am getting it to a solution here. So stick with me. God gave us 2 rules. We overcomplicate things. Again, going back to what I was saying earlier, if we think about this problem and these factors and that problem and all its factors and this problem and all its factors, we get stuck in the mud. We are lost in the weeds. We are too deep in the crap to be able to see clearly. We have to pull up and recognize every solution that is viable and sustainable is simple. God gave us 2 rules. 2. Love God, love others. Period. That's it. No exceptions. I don't care what your political party is. I don't care what mistakes you have made. I don't care how many people you have hurt. I don't care how good of a person you are. Nothing. 0 reasons for me to not love you. Period. Right? And anything that comes up that gets in the way of me loving you is my own shit. I'm going to say it. Right? Heal your own shit, man. Focus on yourself. Sweep in front of your own door. Okay. There is an avenue to ending human suffering at the risk of being Pollyanna-ish. I am very well aware of reality versus, right, the dense reality of what we call real versus the truth of the spiritual realm that we live in, right? Things are not solid the way we think they are. What is reality is not reality. And we know this from a neuroscience perspective. We know this by the way that your eyes perceive an image. We know this by the way that your brain stores and reconsolidates memory. The one truth is the creator of the universe. The second truth is you must love others. The third truth is if you choose to believe anything else, it becomes your reality. right? So if there is anything that's standing in the way of you loving other people, it is your own belief system, likely most often 99.9% of the time stemming from unhealed trauma. Now, if you don't identify as having any of the big 10 listed on the ACE scores, that's fine. Overwhelming experiences of any kind, which includes just the simple hustle and grind culture of the world, changes the brain and body the same way trauma does. You don't get an out by saying, I had a good childhood. Sorry. If you struggle to love people, there is an experience that has caused you to develop a limiting belief system that is stored by stuck emotion in your trauma that is easily resolved by the trauma spotting process. This is not a pitch. There is a solution. That's all I'm going to say about that. Okay. Clearly, I'm feeling a lot of righteous intensity here. Not to say I am righteous, but it moves through very powerfully. God wants us to wake up. Wake up. You are a creator. Wake up. You are a powerful creator. You are creating in every moment, every single second of your day. And if you are not consciously choosing what you are creating, you are recreating more of the past, more of the same, more pain, more trauma, more global world issues. You are a critical component. A butterfly can flap its wing in North America and create a tsunami down south. You are not exempt from this process. A drop of water creates a ripple through the whole ocean. You are not exempt from this process. You cannot look outside of you and say, well, they're bad. I wish they'd knock it off. No, what's coming from inside of you? Because everything we experience outside of us is coming from within. We are all like giant projectors creating the hologram, the illusion, however you want to see it. It's all semantics. Doesn't matter. Love your neighbor. Regulate your nervous system. Heal your trauma. Meet your needs. If you don't know how to do that, I have hundreds of videos on this channel, on TikTok, on Instagram, on all of the stations. There's no shortage of resources here. Okay. No more excuses. We have to restore our body, our physical vessel, to the communication device that it is meant to be, that is intended to live in intimacy with the divine inside of your body. The kingdom of heaven is within. The body is the temple of the spirit. You are capable. If you feel alone, reach out for help. If it feels like a burden, there is a path to support. I did not intend that this video would be a finger wagging type of video, but it kind of feels that way. So I want you to know I love you. I have done this for almost 5 years now. Despite criticism, despite slow growth, I keep showing up because I love whoever you are. And even if you say, well, she doesn't know me, if she knew me, she would say differently. That is not true. You deserve peace. You deserve happiness. You can have peace. You can have happiness. There is a path to all of your needs being met, to overflowing abundance and joy. And in that place, the state of being that the Creator wants you to live in, you will pour naturally from an overflowing cup into others. It is possible. The body keeps the score means the trauma lives in the body. Creating that life requires energy. But if you have these unhealed wounds living inside of you, your energy is going to go to managing them instead of being able to create something beautiful for the world to end human suffering. When you thrive, your ripple effect creates a beautiful effect in the world. When we heal our trauma, we relieve our body of these unnecessary energy drains and leaks in our boat. Then we become powerful. We take our power back. We become limitless creators. We step into the highest timeline that we were designed for, and then by default make the world a better place, restoring intimacy with the divine inside of you, hearing clarity and guidance in every moment. Any rub, any moment of discomfort, any unmet need becomes an opportunity to co-create, and it comes more and more quickly the more healed you are. So sure, it is, and this is something I intended to say in the very beginning, it is very common for unhealed trauma to cause excessive self-focus, right? You have needs. You have natural innate needs. Those needs must be met. You deserve to have your needs met. If your needs are not met, you will find unresourceful ways to meet those needs. Then that becomes the pain that we spread throughout the world. Even just not smiling at somebody as you walk by, not acknowledging a human's presence goes against the core of our design. Our nervous system is designed for love and connection. Every person that you walk past that you refuse to acknowledge, you have spread pain. I hate to say that. And I have those moments where I'm in a mood, man. My kids have been a pain in the butt. I've got so much stuff changing around me all the time. I don't even know where I'm settling. That's hard. And then I want to go to the grocery store and just be alone. No, I cannot walk past a single person. I catch myself and I say, shoot, there was somebody I could have spread a little love for, a little love with too. I'm getting the message as much as you are. I'm not perfect. Far from it. I'm human and I'll make mistakes, and we all will, but we got to have grace for each other. We have to be able to co-regulate. To co-regulate with someone, it's a hug, but it's also, I see you, you're still good. I see you, you made a mistake, I still love you. I see you, that wasn't a great response. Are you okay? You might be struggling. You probably are. What do you need? How can I help? We've got to start doing this, because otherwise we're going to hit the collective breaking point and shit's going to go down. Kind of already is. The good news. There was a study done, they call it the Maharishi effect. I believe it was started with transcendental meditation. When they tested 1% of the population meditated on world peace, they saw a 16% reduction in crime or depression. Do a Google research. I don't recall exactly what that was, but other areas have done this and they saw up to a 23% decrease. We have power and authority. We have been told that the darkness will be crushed under our feet. We turned a Cat 5 hurricane to a Cat 3 just last year. This is the beautiful work. When you heal the trauma, get all the crap out of your body, restore your body to its natural state, restore your connection with the divine, get that clarity, start to co-create. You start to realize it's not just a pair of shoes or a paycheck or a car or a house. It's world peace. It's safety for children. It is the end of corruption. It is crushing wars and genocide and any type of crimes against humanity, right? This is the good news. This is the positive part that I meant to deliver to you. Sorry, I had to, following the guidance, right? Deliver the smackdown a little bit. You are powerful. It's kind of like having a magic wand that you're waving around, creating stuff, and you don't even realize it. Like we got to, like a mom would say to a kid, knock it off. Like, let's go do some shit, man. Let's get our own collective crap out of the way so that we can stop the self-referential thinking, which is a natural byproduct of unhealed trauma, which means you're okay. You're still okay. You're still awesome. I still love you. You're still good. You got this. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. That's what we're doing collectively as humanity. It's still progress. We're going in the right direction. Now let's go create some fun stuff. I want to experience heaven on earth. Pretty sure that's why I came here. Pretty sure it's going to happen in our lifetime. That's what this is all about. That's why you're here. That's why you're listening to this message. You are powerful. You are part of the 144,000. If you feel resonance with this message and you're still here already, you're being called to step forward. It is a war, but through soft power. Speak to the mountain. Tell it to jump into the sea. Have no doubt in your heart, and it's done for you. It gets to be fun. It gets to be easy. Our creator is amazing. Let's save the children. Let's bring about the seed of Eden that is carried within you. I love you so much, my friends. If you want to learn how to manifest abundance through your life purpose and using this trauma healing method, there is a free PDF below. You can do this. I believe in you. Thank you for being here, being part of this community. If you have finished this video, I know you in spirit. I know you on some soul level, and I love you so very much. I am very available for people who ask for help. So let me know if you need a free session. I reserve them only for those really truly in need. If you can afford to support the mission, I appreciate that. But I am here one way or the other. Okay. I love you, my friends. And I will see you on the next one. Namaste.